Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered how important public speaking is as a skill? I've learned in my professional career that that is an intangible. That's something that you can double down on, that can truly differentiate you as an individual and influence the world around you. So effective public speaking skills can help with career advancement as they indicate creativity, critical thinking skills, leadership abilities, poise, professionalism, qualities which are very valuable for the job market. It can help you stand out again at work. So it's very important to be able to double down in that area, and it can build your self-esteem. It's a great self-esteem booster, which is public speaking. As well as public speaking engagements are great places to meet, new social or professional contacts, networking, that type of thing. So if you would like to change your world, remember public speaking is an effective platform for spreading revolutionary ideas and improve your personal brand. So today we're going to introduce you to Arleen Lambert. She is a successful coach, consultant, speaker, and social entrepreneur. She is the founder of Early Education Link, a not-for-profit organization that creates programs to facilitate the needs of children and families throughout South Florida. Mrs. Lambert works in local communities, providing varying services ranging from serving Thanksgiving dinners, annual Christmas toy giveaway to children in underserved communities in our area. Mrs. Lambert organizes and hosts the Women Empowering Women for Excellence. That's WEWFE. It's an annual conference. This conference is centered around a 4-pillar approach to supporting women holistically. Mrs. Lambert has fostered relationships with successful women in varying degrees to advocate support that aligns with the vision of her organizations, which serves to provide the key to a better life for families. Arleen is a distinguished Toastmaster of Toastmaster International. Over the years, she has held many leadership roles in the organization. Mrs. Lambert has channeled her passion for public speaking into development and delivery for early education leadership training. Mrs. Lambert is a current facilitator for the Business Leadership Institute, where she works as a support to help early childcare business owners manage their businesses and use strategies to writing effective business plans. Mrs. Lambert holds a Bachelor of Science in Child Development with a concentrating element in preschool and infants toddlers, and is currently pursuing a master's degree in educational leadership at the University of North Florida. So let's welcome Arleen Lambert. Thank you for tuning in, my audience. This is another fantastic show that we're going to have today on Follow the Brand. I'm Grant McGaugh, your host, and today we're going to have someone all the way from Trinidad. Believe that. She's been in Miami for a little bit right now, but she is from Trinidad. That's Miss Arleen Lambert. She is a distinguished Toastmaster. And I asked her to be on this show because a lot of my guests, we always get into this discussion about Toastmasters. Toastmasters, what is that? What is that? Public speaking. Sometimes that's a weakness for people. It could be a strength for you. We're not sure, but this is one of the things that Arleen does. So we're going to tune into her life a little bit, learn a little bit more about what makes Arleen special. And I think we'll learn a lot from today's session. So with that said, I want to introduce you to Miss Arleen Lambert.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me on your show, Grant. I'm looking forward to this podcast.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're going to just start out just a little bit because you do some unique things. Obviously you're not doing Toastmasters as a way of the way you make your money, right? Right.
Right.
So
correct.
tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Okay, so, I'm an entrepreneur, but basically I am actually in early education. That's my foundation. I own and operate a family home childcare program, and I've been in the business for almost 20 years as to date. I started off just simply saying I will get into this just for 2 years up until I get someone to actually get my daughter from school. That's it. I was having issues and having individual family members and friends to pick up my daughter from school. And that bothered me so much. So when my sister, who owns a family home, said, hey, why don't you be my substitute, which is someone that works in addition to the family home provider? I said, okay. So I took the class. I was on her license as a substitute, and then I decided to operate my own business when I lost my job. So before going broke, I decided, listen, it's time to start my own business. And I did.
Man, that's a wonderful, wonderful story. And it's a little bit part of your personal brand, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
now,
is.
Articulate for the audience how you feel branding of itself and really personal branding has helped you as an entrepreneur.
First off, I've always, I attended one training, I believe, at the Children Trust. And in that training, the trainer talked about branding. And he referred to you as a part of the brand. And I've always thought that in my head, but I've never really focused in on it. And then I did my own investigation, and I'm like, you know what? That's what it is. Branding is not only about the product or the service that you provide, it's about everything that is attached to what you're doing. So in my business, which I provide childcare service, my business is called Arleen's Home Daycare, right? That's the entity that provides the service. But I am an employee of that entity, and I'm also attached to the brand. My daughter, who also works for me, is attached to the brand because she works for the business. So everything, even when I step out of the business and be casual in the street, going to the grocery store, if you know that I work for Arleen's Family Home Daycare, I still represent the brand. That's why it's very important to understand what branding is and how your brand can get affected. So, for example, if I'm driving on the 95, someone bumps me, and I was to honk my horn and, do some gestures that are unkind, and individuals that knows me, how it would look and said, you know what? She watches children and train children to become leaders in society. That in itself affects my brand. So branding is really important. And as an entrepreneur, we have to be very aware of who we are and how we brand our business, as well as ourselves.
I completely 100% agree with that. I've watched you from afar. Now, I met Arleen through Toastmasters, and we go to the same Toastmasters meeting at the church, at the Fountains Church, and I was very impressed with her, the way she articulated herself, and she has a very thick accent, and she said, I've had this accent but I want to be able to articulate myself so I will be understood. And there's so many different ways in which we communicate that we don't always recognize that are coming across, not just the words that are coming out of your mouth. Sometimes it's the way you're saying certain things or your gestures that you have. And all those things play into the Toastmasters experience, right? So I want, if you don't mind, just walk us through your story of why you got involved with Toastmasters and how it has helped you with your personal brand.
So how I got into Toastmasters, one of my friends said to me, Arleen, you're a leader and you speak well. However, when you get excited, your accent comes out, your volume start being loud, and you start speaking really, really fast. And sometimes we don't understand you. And if we don't understand you, then you're not communicating well. And she referred me to Toastmasters. And I said, you know what? Okay, what is that? Is it a toast maker or something? I can't imagine an organization would be called Toastmasters International. But I looked it up and I ended with my research at the Fountain, where I met you as well. And in my journey, I realized that every meeting that I attended, I gained some more insight. I used some of the resources. So for those of you who don't know anything about Toastmasters, it's an organization that helps with public speaking and leadership, because that's what it's all about. And every meeting you attend, each meeting have three folds or three components to it. It has the prepared speeches. So based on your needs, based on your interests, you utilize the projects or the areas of expertise to go along your Toastmaster so you can build on your interests. So right now, before, we used to have books. But right now in Toastmasters, we use projects, which is online. So you do your self-analysis, and based on what your desire or your interest, you choose those projects. And each time you choose a project, it helps you to propel to your next level of speaking. So every time I would go to the meeting, you have an opportunity to do one thing. You can do a prepared speech where you go home and based on your interest, you prepare to speak on that interest. Then you have the table topics, which is like speaking on the fly. You have 2 to 3 minutes, someone call a topic, and you just get up and you speak at random. There's no preparedness. It's just like a simple conversation, a one-on-one banter. And third, it has the roles. So in every Toastmaster meeting, there are significant roles that needs to be addressed. So we have the R counter, we have the grammarian, and all these roles look at different aspects of you as you speak. It look at your body language, how you move your body. How do you articulate your words? Do you use a lot of clutch words like and, but, so, do you look away from the audience? Do you look down? Which all plays into how well of a communicator you are. So each week you will go, you will get evaluated, and you will get feedback. So for the following week, you will know exactly what area that you need to work on. So every time you attend the meeting, there's growth and there's development. You learn from different areas of speaking, it's really great, because without you even realizing, you begin to learn and understand cues to the point that when you listen to other people speak, you start using your Toastmaster skill set to evaluate the speakers. I see, Grant, you shaking your head. I know you do it as well.
I was, just thinking through that as you were going explaining what Toastmasters is all about. And for me, because I became, president of an association, the National Association of Health Service Executives, so I had to get in front of people, and I hadn't done that for like, I don't know, a number of years. I've done certain presentations like in sales, and usually those are small, settings. You're in a boardroom, there's maybe 10 or 12 people, and then I usually do some introductions and I bring up a subject matter expert on different technologies and that type of thing. And I could do that, pretty well, but I wasn't ready to get in front of like 50 people, begin, talking about, and I just said, right? So that I still do it. I got the ding, but it does happen. But you recognize it, as she said, you start to recognize the way you are communicating, and then you start to get the techniques that are used to be able to convey certain ideas more clear, right? Well, one of my classic mistakes that I learned as I went to Toastmasters, that I was trying to memorize everything. And this is a true story. So I had to do my first, get up in front of a crowd of 50 people and introduce the keynote speaker and kind of go through their bio. And so I told myself, I'm just going to memorize this whole, paragraph of information, and I'll be good. And I kept reading it over and reading it over and reading it over. And then when I finally got on this stage, first of all, one tip: never, ever drink any carbonated drinks before you get up to speed. That was a mistake because my voice box really closed in on me, and I didn't even realize it. So this is happening internally. I'm already nervous, because I was about to speak, and I'm trying to memorize what I'm about to say, and it was not good. So soon after that, I did join Toastmasters because I can never repeat that kind of experience again. And so I did. And so one of the first things that I learned was that you don't need to memorize everything. And you want to put everything in a story type context. You want to have triggers. This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand. So if you have that trigger word that then responds to a particular story and episode, it can be very episodal, then you can then key off of that and tell the story, and then it starts to have a natural flow to the entire segment that you're speaking about. So that's my Toastmaster story, how I got started. I'm so glad to meet Arleen and to find out she's now a distinguished Toastmasters. Can you tell us more about that type of certification?
Okay, so with the DTM, which is the Distinguished Toastmaster, it's a process. There are certain projects, like I said, the Toastmaster have changed the whole format of it. So basically, you have to go through 2 complete projects. You can be a club coach. You got to do some leadership trainings and some leadership activities. So again, in Toastmaster, it's not only about speaking well, it's not about communication, but it's about leadership. Because when you think about it, both of them are combined. No one wants to become a better speaker because it has to be placed in front of some sort of leadership position. So at this time, you have to complete 2 projects. So before it was like 6 books. Now it's in the project form and it's very detailed. So it prompts you, you go in, you have access to TLI, which is the Toastmasters International website. You go into your curriculum, your personal curriculum, you choose the product, and it tells you step by step what you need to do in order to get to that point. So it's 2 sets of projects. You have to be a club coach and you have to do some other leadership project. And one of the projects, once you complete the 2 separate projects, you will contact TLI and they would give you the project listing of what you need to complete. So it's a process, but it all comes back with leadership.
Well, you said that, and you just reminded me of the leadership component. When I would go to the fountains and I would see the individuals that would also be a part of Toastmasters, it gave each of them the opportunity to be a leader. Each one would take accountability for a role. And during their regular lives, they may not have that opportunity to be a leader. Now they do.
Absolutely.
And it gives you that practice because you never know when you're going to be called upon to speak. And like you said earlier, it's not about just speaking well, it's having that leadership presence, that executive presence that you know how to exude yourself, you know how to use your body and your hands and convey different ideas. At the same time, you also know how people will evaluate how they're consuming your information.
You know what, Grant? One of the things that I notice that when I get excited or when I am about to speak something really passionate, that's when I can actually stand up and I could command a room. And that's great, but not every time we get up to speak, you will feel that passion. Or sometimes you're so passionate, you don't know how to begin. And I remember getting up to speaking about the unsub hero, which I was going to give a speech about my mom. And I just kept walking around the lectern like 3 times. And in my evaluation, it's like Samine evaluated me. She said, Arleen, you were just running around the lectern. Now, I knew what I was doing, and I had to write, really, Arleen, stop running around the lectern. And that's where and why you need to practice. Because public speaking and being a leader, because if you think about it, everyone in that Toastmaster meeting is there for a reason. And it's not because they want to communicate with their families, because it's not stressful, but it's when you want to communicate with in a leadership position, in front of an audience, in front of your co-workers, that's where you need the support and you need some help. So having the opportunity to speak in front of other professionals, it helps build you makes you become a better communicator. And it's okay. We all start from different points. So when you get on, you don't have to be an eloquent speaker. You are learning at your own pace. In Toastmaster, you are in a safe space. Very safe.
I love the way you just stated that. So it's a place to practice, and I love that part of that. I felt very comfortable and I watched myself grow. I saw the progression. I saw it coming together. And one of the things that I really liked was part of Toastmasters we do in every session is called table topics. And what table topics does is that it's called impromptu speaking. You don't prep for impromptu speaking. You don't know exactly what they're going to talk about or what you're going to be asked to give your speech about 1 to 2 minutes about something that you had no idea was going to be asked of you, but you've got to think on your feet, and you've got to reply, and you've got to tie it back to an idea that's going to be memorable. And I love that about Toastmasters, those table topics. My God. And you've had some wonderful table topics.
But you have been a master at table topics, Grant. That is one of your, one of your great attributes about you being a leader. You speak on the fly. And that's a great thing, because you know what? That helps you with your elevator speech. Sometimes you have just 30 seconds, 20 seconds, or 10 seconds, and it's just the manner in which you say something can catch people's attention, and you just move with that. So again, Toastmasters provide a safe space. It's an opportunity. It provides opportunity for you to grow and develop wherever you are. You just come on, plain canvas, and that's where the roles, that's where all the projects comes in. And it's a team, it's a family. The Fountain, our group, I would say it's a family. And I think most Toastmaster Club will say the same thing, same about what I'm saying. It's like they are your extended family.
I truly believe that. And I know you're doing some other things as well. I believe you're involved in a women's group. Is that correct?
Right. So I have an organization called Early Education Link. And Early Education Link mission is really to support families. And in that, I created a conference called Women Empowering Women for Excellence. Because one of the things I find as a woman, a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, is that sometimes women tend not to understand their place as entrepreneurs. We see ourselves as mothers, we see ourselves as friends, but we are always compartmentalized into different compartments. But we're supposed to have this holistic approach to being who we are. So in that, we have 4 components that we talk about in our women's conference, which is self-awareness, health and wellness, leadership, and financial literacy. And I think that it's not only for women, but as men as well. Because one of the things, Grant, and you can attest to that, which affects all of our brand, is self-awareness.
True.
As a childcare owner and operator, my daily schedule that I work with the kids reflect me. I know my highs and my lows. So based on me, I created the schedule that best reflects me. That's being self-aware of who I am. So I could present my business in such a way that it always at quality, based again on who I am, what I like, what I don't like. So my business is a clear reflection of me. My self-awareness and my personality would not reflect you. We will both set our daily schedule differently. We would set how we do things differently. I remember meeting you at a networking event, and I'm like, you know what? I hate this. I'm leaving. And I met you when I was leaving, and you're like, where you going? Come on in. And I stayed about an hour or 2 thereafter and begin to enjoy that. That's your thing. That's not my thing, but it is necessary to be a part of that as a business owner. So with the conference and the content, that self-awareness is a great component. We need to know who we are, to know what type of leader we are, to know how we're going to deliver the product that we say we're going to serve our community with. Another component is health and wellness. You have to be healthy. You have to be filled with wealth, because you can be an effective leader in the hospital bed. You cannot always be sick and out and having someone else run your organization, because you're not going to be impactive. It's not going to be your mission and vision that is going to be out here, because it's someone else leading the charge. Third component is leadership. What kind or what type of leader are you? You need to know that. And that again stems from being self-aware of who you are. What platform are you standing on? And who is your audience and who you intend to impact? So that needs to be understood. And lastly, we have financial literacy. You cannot be a broke leader. You must be financially competent, because without money, where you're going? You need to be financially secure and sound. As a business owner, your business must make money. And especially with this pandemic, think about that. When business went under, some business rose up and was making more profit. Why is that? That again comes back to the leadership. How do you lead? All comes back. So, and again, self-awareness, I always put it first, because you need to identify who you are.
100% agree with everything you just said. Spoken like a true champion that you are. And that comes from the heart. That comes from experience. That comes from, your walk, over these last few years, these few months, and where you're at. And you probably saw how you were able to utilize Toastmasters in your life. I think that's very, very important. So as we conclude right now, I wanted to find out, before we leave, give you an opportunity. Here's your chance to tell us even more, because I think you have an event coming up. So I want to know the dates and when that's happening, and if there's any final thoughts that you would like to leave with the audience.
Okay, so the next Woman Empowering Women for Excellence event, tentative date would be we're still playing around with the date, which is in October, and it should be possibly the last Saturday in October. We are considering a hybrid model for the conference. Believe it or not, that is even more expensive than just being in the physical location. So that is being considered. But the theme of the conference is position for purpose. Position for purpose, knowing where you are and being ready and being in line and in tune with your purpose. Because once you know your purpose and you position for it, that's when you can be very influential. That's when you can lead. And that's when you can really rely on your platform and let people know who you are and what you represent. One of the things I would say, my mantra is doing things in excellence. My excellence may not be your excellence, because we may be at different levels. But as for you, whatever you do in excellence. Do the best of your ability and you will grow.
Well, that is I think that's an applause, a drop the mic moment right there. You definitely framed the conversation very, very well. I want to thank you for being a guest on Follow the Brand. We are building a 5-star brand that people can follow. That's our tagline. And we want to do this more and more. So anyone out in your network, in your audience that needs to tune in to Follow the Brand, please have them do so. They can do so on all the podcast stations, whether it's going to be on Audible, which is an Amazon station, or it can be on iTunes. It can also be on Buzzsprout. I use them a lot. You can see that on my website at www.5starbdm, and as well as Spotify. So thank you very much. I look to my audience to tune in again next week when we have another special guest. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.